Some of you might wonder what we talk about on this channel. No, you really shouldn't. If you've watched any of these videos, you know that we talk about music. We talk about music. Specifically, we talk about heavy metal music, but we've also talked about various other styles of music, such as alternative, such as hard rock, such as hip-hop. We've touched base through perhaps some more angry-focused videos on even some pop and even some other styles of music, such as country. So this is definitely a channel that loves and embraces music. And here, in kind of a weird little take on the top 5 approach, it's not even going to be a top 5, it's just going to be a 5 reasons approach. We need to talk about why it is that we love music, and why it is that music is, pretty much the reason why this channel exists, why there's nearly 1,000 videos on this channel, and why it just has this, real force of nature that has really perpetuated this channel and others like it to be on the forefront of YouTube, really be something that's a very big major force on YouTube. Now, it might seem kind of obvious, and you can count this as reason number 1. It might seem very obvious that people love music because there's just exposure to it everywhere. And I'm going to go a little bit further and literally say that music is everywhere that you go. That's the one reason why you should love music and why you probably do love music. Regardless really of where you are or what you are doing, there is a good chance that there is a soundtrack that is taking place or a soundtrack that is being played. For example, if you go to the store to buy some milk or some bread, either that or if you're going just to look around or just, waste some time, even if you're just walking around a mall, there is always a soundtrack that's playing in the background, something that's playing near the ceiling from a couple of speakers, whether it is some soft rock, whether it is some alternative rock, whether it's new or old, there is always some sort of music that's being played, and it's something where you can get into these artists by listening to them, or if you are young and you think that the music that they're playing is outdated, you can certainly criticize it, laugh at it, kind of chuckle at it, but guess what? You're still interacting with the music. It's still something that's very important to your life because it is something that is right there. You hear it in the car, you hear it at home, you have iPods, you have phones, you have all of these different peripheral devices that you can use in order to get music to other locations, either that or to get it to a place where you can listen to it, because this is something that is critical to your being. It's something that kind of drives you. Many people consider it to be the soundtrack of their lives, music is, and quite frankly, that is all the more that it is whenever you really personalize it that way. It really does become a soundtrack to your life, because what other thing could be a soundtrack to your life? Music is the only thing that could be the true soundtrack of your life. You could get metaphoric, but we're not. We're going to be very literal with this one. A second reason why we love music, a second reason why it drives us, is that it speaks to us personally. To go off of the last point, it speaks to us emotionally, it speaks to us personally. It's something where within our lives, if we're going with the soundtrack of our life metaphor or literal idea, it's something where these songs are able to speak to us and really have a place within situation, or have a place within our own being. Whether it is a classic symphony, which really can drive a feeling of intellectuality, either that or you can really examine movements and kind of understand why they are kind of doing what they're doing, either that or kind of understanding the story through pure sound as opposed to it being words on a page or something that's being dictated to you. Music has this element and ability that is very tantamount in really determining a mood and really determining placement in our life, and that's something that's part of its power. Part of its power is that you can find a song that for literally just about every emotion on the planet, be it rage, be it jealousy, be it elation, be it ecstasy, be it orgasm, practically. There are, I did a video a couple years ago called Eargasm, where some music literally will remind you of an orgasm because of how it makes you feel. It kind of swells up all of that energy and that emotion within you, and you can feel it kind of just gobbling up inside of you, and whenever you hit that crescendo point on that song, it just feels like it all gushes forth, even though nothing, physically gushes forth, and if it does, then you may have a greater problem than we think. However, that's still that emotional response, that emotional feel, that being latched onto it. Even if that emotion is rage, don't take emotion to merely mean the ones that are kind of sappy and some people would say girly, not very masculine, because even if you're feeling rage, even if you feel like fucking shit up and blah, 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 and, deathcore, bro, let's get in the pit, bro, you're still feeling and experiencing an emotion. you're still feeling and experiencing a real desire, a drive to kind of be a little bit more violent, either that or be a little bit more, aggressive. It's not something that's just merely emotional on the sense of heartbreak, on the sense of whining, on the sense of my life is terrible, blah, blah, blah. That's not the definition of emotion, and those who think that it is, you just need to stop right there. Thirdly, we need to understand also the educational values of music. One reason that we love music is the fact that there is a tremendous educational value to it whenever you actually get involved in performing the music itself. And that's kind of another portion of this argument, or should I say, in this promotion altogether. It's the fact that we hear these other individuals, these artists that we love, be they classical composers, be they pop princesses, be they heavy metal stars, performing this music, and we immediately want to become involved. We want to do something like that. Sure, there's a glamorization of it thanks to Hollywood based around the fact that these individuals make money. These individuals are in the public eye. The spotlight is on them, and we as humans do crave attention, whether or not we like to say that we do or outwardly show that we do. There is a craving in there. It is something that does exist, and so this glamorization, yes, it does kind of encourage us a little bit more to want to pick it up and kind of, be a part of it. But for those who really and truthfully love and adore music, it's all about wanting to see what music really comes out of you, what music you're able to create, what you're able to spawn, what picking up and learning an instrument and really becoming the master of this craft can really do for your own creative output, your own creative outlet, your own creative endeavor, whether you be a writer, whether you be a guitar player, whether you play a violin. There are plenty of bands out there that incorporate the use of wind instruments, that use, violins, saxophones, organs, harpsichords. The Beatles used didgeridoos and all these other different instruments that, you don't traditionally associate with, pop music or music that you traditionally hear on the radio. And I think didgeridoo is wrong. It was a sitar. Thank you very much. However, the point is still the fact that no matter what instrument that you play, there is still a part and a place for you in the musical universe, because it could be that one little portion that makes you different, that makes you kind of unique and stand out, and makes you truthfully one of the best, one of the greatest. Either that or at least somebody who is very, very good at an instrument, and it's able to be projected with other instruments and other voices and other things in order to create something truthfully beautiful and truthfully one of a kind. Fourth, the idea of self-expression. That's the one big thing that music really has going for it, is that it is self-expression. Famous man by the name of Kevin Smith once said that you can never fail at self-expression, and he's absolutely right. And then why do critics exist? Well, that's because we want critical analysis of what things are, if they're good, if they're bad, what necessarily, as far as stylistically they are, things like that. They want information. They want to know things about products before they buy it, because aside from that, there is no real way for you to tell unless you hear it yourself. So basically, critics almost act like a hype engine, and whenever they say that something is poor, can that drive things? No, not really, but it can. But whenever they say that things are fantastic, there's a good chance, or a better chance rather, that people are going to impulse buy because they've read a good review. However, self-expression is by and large one of the greatest gifts that music really has given the world, and one of the greatest things that music can really offer is the fact that you're able to really express yourself in ways that you never thought possible before, whether it be through an instrument, whether it be through your own voice, whether it be through the words that you use whenever you write them down and then somebody else is maybe able to sing, or either that, or it could be just as simple as you write a poem or you write a short story and you hear some music in the background and it immediately feels as though it belongs in that story, almost like you're in your mind developing the soundtrack to your own story, to your own work, and this fits perfectly, this works. That self-expression is something that's able to be coupled with other things. It's able to be coupled, perhaps, with a movie soundtrack. It could be coupled with extreme sports. It could be coupled with somebody who's getting married. It could be coupled with somebody who just experienced a death in the family. Perhaps somebody who just experienced a new birth. Perhaps somebody who's just not having a good day, and it may cheer them up. That self-expression has so much value to music, not to mention it does give all of the power to the person who is expressing themselves. They're able to do so much, and their work is able to move so many people. Even something that sounds really disjointed, that sounds like it just sucks. It doesn't sound very good at all. It's still self-expression because it's the self-expression of the learning process. It's the self-expression of kind of tapping out all of those different ideas and kind of seeing which ones that you really like and which ones that you don't. Which ones sound sour and which ones really sound sweet. You know, where can you place this? Where can you place that? What can you do in order to further develop your own self-expression? Or are you going for that sense of really disjointed harmony, that sense of real, you know, disjointed feeling, that emotional vacancy that is really experienced, or that perhaps even emotional fear that is experienced whenever you hear something that does not have that sticky, sweet feel to it, something that can be experienced a lot of times in heavy metal, something that can be experienced a lot in freeform jazz that has more of a negative tint to it, something that you can hear a lot in some very aggressive hip-hop, either that or in some very depressing rock music. Perhaps something you could even hear in a power ballad that you hear in pop music. It's something that's literally everywhere, and sometimes these disjointed forms of self-expression end up being some of the greatest songs out there. Would you think that While My Guitar Gently Weeps, a George Harrison composition, would end up being one of the more covered Beatles songs out there, along with a beautiful love song such as Something? It's true, though. There are two songs that literally fall on different sides of the playing field, but yet have the same fate, not only just because of the band that really originated them, but also in the musical value, in the way in which one is very beautiful, while the other does have kind of a haunting feel to it. Finally, and this is perhaps the most important reason why music is, you know, why we love it and why it is kind of at the center point of our lives, and it's the fact that music itself is something that we cannot explain. It's not something that we can, with just a couple of words, really give a profound and truthful and complete explanation to. It has this magical, this mysterious power over us. If there is any real evidence of God or a deity or something that truly is mythical, magical, and at the same time really cannot be displayed through wordplay, either that or displayed through something that you write, music is probably the closest, if not the only, true representation of God that we would have out there, because music is something that has a physical value to it, considering we can hear it, we can actually take it in. It's something that's a part of our lives, it's something that becomes a part of our beings, something that we can also create. We are basically creating God while at the same time worshiping the God of music. It's something that's very interesting. It's a very philosophical conversation that may be a little bit too deep for something as basic as this, but at the same time, considering we cannot really give this true explanation to it, why we can't really understand why music is able to drive our emotions in the way in which that it does. It's not readily available to us, that we don't readily understand why music does this to us, and because of that, man, it has this addictive taste to it. It has this feeling to it that is just one of a kind, something that you're not going to get anywhere else. You can easily become an addict of music, and you never will need rehab. You'll never, ever need to enter into a 12-step program. If somebody says, you listen to too much music, you tell them to shut the fuck up and listen to more music, because music has a tremendous and beautiful value to it. Now, yes, everything does have a dark side. You know, video game music and this other music gave people violent tendencies. It caused Columbine, it caused 9/11, it caused Pearl Harbor, the wreck of the Hesperus, the fall of Rome, Jesus Christ's crucifixion. It caused the motherfucking spawning of the universe, blah, blah, blah. God himself formed himself out of music notes. It is something that we can't explain. It's something you can literally attribute to everything. It is something that literally is this fantastic muse that we will forever not be able to really explain with words, phrases, etc. why it has that power. And that's something that's really beautiful. That's something that really should give us a drive toward hope as opposed to a drive toward depression. Something that, honestly, whether it be just a philosophical conversation rather than a conversation that's pure of heart and pure of just enjoyment, this is something that we can't explain it. Go ahead, sit down, try to explain music. Try to explain it in the comments below. Try to explain it to your fellow man, and there's one thing that you'll notice whenever you read your words directly after you've typed them out. No matter how long this comment is, whether it's just a couple of words, whether that, or it's, you know, paragraphs. You could literally write a book, and you will not completely grasp, totally, exactly all that music is. And that's something that's fantastic. That's something to be embraced. That's something to continue to explore. That's something to continue to kind of look into. I do implore you to try. Try to describe music in the comments. For those of you who have watched this far, and I hope that you all have, do try. Why is music important to you? Perhaps you could also talk about that in the comments below also. What are some other reasons why music is important to all of us? Why is music the driving force of our lives? Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for watching this. I thank you for being a subscriber. I thank you for maybe just being a viewer and hope that you become a subscriber. I thank all of you who have stuck with me throughout all of these videos. I have said before, we're getting very close to 1,000. I am going to kind of use this as my makeshift 1,000th video, because this was an idea that came a little bit beforehand, but one that I had to kind of get out as soon as possible, because this is a topic that has a lot of great personal significance to me. Thank you very much, and have a good day. CoverKillerNation out.